Hello everyone. So we're going to do challenge activity 8.7.3, modify array elements using other elements. So we have to write a loop that sets each array element to the sum of itself and the next element, except for the last one, which stays the same. So basically what it wants us to do is go through, remember that we have an integer array with a size of 4. So the different variables we have to access are bonus scores 0, bonus scores 1, bonus scores 2, bonus scores 3. Right? And each of these is a separate integer value that we can access using the indexes 0 through 3. Okay? So what it wants us to do is basically set bonus scores 0 equal to bonus scores 0 plus 1. Oops. No, that's not right. Plus bonus scores 1. Bonus scores 1 should equal bonus scores 1 plus bonus scores 2. Bonus scores 2 is equal to bonus scores 2 plus bonus scores 3. And bonus scores 3 is the same. So we can just write like this. And I believe this should just work. Like we can just try it right now. I don't know why I wouldn't, but I'm going to do this a different way as well, because this, if you have, in this case we have only 4. What is it wrong with it? No. Right, this one doesn't need to be there. Yeah, I had that there for example, and I forgot to remove it. So, the problem with doing it this way, this does work. The problem with doing it this way is that, let's say that our size of our scores is 100 and not 4. We obviously don't want to write them out 1 by 1 by 1. And if, let's say we take this in, the score size is a variable, like we do here, and we can change it to wherever we want. So we need to have a program that can adapt to whatever size this is. So the algorithm we're going to use, whenever you're using an array, you naturally want to think about using a for loop, because for loops are extremely convenient for using arrays, because you can go step by step through every single member of the array using their index. And the reason you want to use a for loop is because you can count from 0 and count up to the highest index, which is bonus scores.length minus 1, like the 1 minus the length. And you can go, like, here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. This starts at index 0 and counts up index 0, index 1, index 2, so on and so forth until you get to the size, to the highest index of bonus scores, and for each one it assigns an integer, right? So you can see that this actually adapts to whatever the size of bonus scores is. Like, if I can't change it up here, but if we had like a 20 here, we would get 20 integers, and it would work just as well as if you had a 5 here or a 4 here. So that's what we want to accomplish with our answer. So the way to do that is, let's just make another for loop. Now the natural tendency is to do I is less than bonus scores.length, because remember that if we have an array of size 4 has elements from 0 to 3, right? That's why we start at 0 and we go to I until I is equal to bonus scores.length. So this for loop will iterate, it'll keep looping until this is no longer true. Like, this is no longer true. And this is not true when, since I is less than bonus scores, it was no longer true counting up when I is equal to bonus scores. So we count all the way up until 1, the size minus 1, which would be 3 in this case, or if this was 20, this would be 19. You know what I'm saying? So the natural tendency is to always do this exact construction when you're working with arrays, right? But in this case, well, let's keep going and we'll see what happens. So what we want to do is we want to do bonus scores I is equal to bonus scores I plus bonus scores I plus 1. So here, if we are at 0, we're saying 0 is equal to the value of 0 plus the value of 1. 1 is equal to the value of 1 plus the value of 2. 2 is equal to 2 plus 3. But what happens if we get to 3? We get 3 equals 3 plus 4. Well, 4 is actually outside of bounds, because if we have an array of size 4, it only goes from 0 to 3. So 4 would be out of bounds. But remember that we don't actually have to do anything in the case where we're at 3. So we can leave the case where it's at 3 the same. So we can just skip over that final value by setting this to bonus scores.length minus 1. So we only count 0, 1, 2 and do the addition. But then when we get to 3, we just skip over that and quit out of the loop. And I think I should also mention that the reason that this loop works, and you don't have to like assign this to a variable and then assign it, is because we're not going to use the value of bonus scores I after this loop. Like, right, if you remember how we wrote it before, we had bonus scores 0. You can even make this a comment. Be really fancy. Bonus scores 0 equals bonus scores 0 plus bonus scores 1. Bonus scores 1 equals bonus scores 1 plus scores 2, and so on and so forth. Now notice that in each case, we're setting bonus scores 0 to something that takes in bonus scores as a value. This is fine. It's just like doing x equals x plus 1. But remember that we're in the process, we're getting rid of this value and we're throwing it in the garbage. Like, bonus score 0 is irreparably being replaced by bonus score 0 plus 1. So in this case, it doesn't matter, because after we set 0, we move up to 1 and we go 1 and 2, and then we set 1 and then we go to 2 and 3, and then we set 2 and then we go to 3 and 4. So it doesn't actually matter in this case. But let's say we had a situation where we had to do like bonus scores 1 equals 0 plus 1. Would this actually be different? Yeah, I can't think of a good example of this case, but like there's a situation where you'd have to actually make like a separate for loop, a separate array and a separate for loop, and then set those values to be what you want the new loop to be. And I'm not explaining this very well. The point is that this works. So we can just run this and just make sure that this works. I didn't do anything dumb. I hope it does. Yep, and this also works. So I hope that was okay. I was going off topic because I wanted to explain like really how this works in a deep dive. But yeah, I'm having trouble coming up with an example of a situation where you can't do this, but I know you can't because you're. Yeah. If I think about it, I'll put it in the comments underneath this video. But thank you for watching, and I hope this helps someone. So have a nice day.